All right, welcome back. And finally, we are on this edit, which was going to serve as a breather where we'll be seeing how the pen tool works. Okay, now a couple of things here. Pen tool isn't the most important tool nowadays because you have a lot of automated tools like I'm going to be showing you. But after we've seen how to use the pen tool, I'm going to be telling you this one rare situation where the pen tool can still, in 2023, really help you and can do something which the automated tools can't do. Okay, but before that, we of course have to learn how to use the pen tool, and trust me when I say this, okay? Nothing out there in this whole world, I'm not even talking about Photoshop, has frustrated more people than the pen tool. I'm not even joking. Okay, just a small little story for you. Back in 2011, when I was doing my MBA, we had this little class on Photoshop, even though, MBA is not related to Photoshop in any way, but it was just a little class to teach us in case you get into social media marketing and all these things. You might need to design something, you might need to cut out something and make a selection, okay? So just a little class on pen tool and some other very basic tools, mainly for graphic designers, okay? That's a little class, and I remember in the pen tool section, there was this one person in our class, okay? There's one guy in the class, he got so frustrated in this section. I still remember this clearly. He banged his fist on the laptop, so I literally destroyed the keyboard on the laptop, okay? So it can be a frustrating tool, and there are two reasons for this, okay? The first reason why this is a frustrating tool is a lot of people simply use it in the wrong way, which is so let's say if you got this image and we want to select this whole lamppost, okay? So the wrong way to go about this tool is a lot of people simply, because how it works is, like I kind of gave you a preview before, right? You simply keep drawing these, like you place a point like this, and then the next point you place, it's going to draw a line, okay? Like it's going to draw a line, and later on, we keep on drawing this, we close this as you're going to see, and then we can turn this whole path, this is called as a path, okay? What you're seeing in these blue lines. Okay, you can close this and that forms, you can convert it into a selection. I'm going to be showing you how to do that, but basically you can see, so if I can draw points like this, it's going to join the next point, the next point. So one of the wrong ways of looking at this can be that a lot of people, okay, the beginners, they simply think that, okay, we keep drawing points like this, a lot of points like this, and then we'll even zoom in and we'll keep drawing small points like this. But if you think about this, first of all, you can see, right? Anytime there's going to be a curve, that's going to look very jagged ultimately, because these are very angular in nature, right? So this is not how you use it. And if you were to use it like this, there'll be no difference between this and what we saw, remember earlier on with the polygonal lasso tool. That's exactly what the polygonal lasso tools also does, like this, and you keep on going. So of course, we don't use the pen tool like the polygonal lasso tool. I kind of give you a preview that you can make curves from this also. So that is the first point. Now, just to get rid of this, I'm going to press, so these are called anchor points, which make the path, which is ultimately turned into a selection, okay? To get rid of these anchor points, you can just hit escape. Okay, I'll have to get back to the pen tool actually, yeah. Now if I press escape, it's going to get rid of this, but we want to start over, so I'm again going to press escape, and then it's just going to remove this. So that is the first part. Remember I told you there are two reasons why the pen tool is so frustrating. This is the first part, that yes, you don't use it like this, okay? Also, before I talk about the second part and we actually start drawing the selection, a couple of important points just here, okay? You see this gear icon on top, okay? You can change the thickness of this path. So in case, you feel that it's hiding the subject because that line is too thick, okay, you can change it to 1 pixel and all. You can even change the color. A lot of people like to use red color. You can choose this, okay? Just wanted to point this out. So now yes, we don't simply use it as the polygonal lasso tool works, okay? So how do we use it? And what is that second part which I was telling you about? So let's start this process, okay? We know that we have to draw a path around this lamppost. So what we can do is, to start off, we'll have to click somewhere, okay? Then, since this is a straight line, we don't have any issues up till here, right? Because if I click this point, it's simply going to draw this line, and that's what we want. So on straight things, no problem at all. The second issue now comes in the curved part, okay? So this is where this tool is just made slightly confusing. Trust me on that. So what will happen is, when I show you all this, there's a good chance if you're seeing the pen tool for the first time, you are bound to get a bit confused. It happens to literally everyone who touches this tool. Okay, so don't worry about it. But here's the trick. We know we want to go And let's say, so you basically have to treat small curves, okay? I can't think of the next curve before I've handled this curve. Let me zoom in slightly more, okay? So the trick is this. We've got this first two anchor points which have connected a straight line. Now the next part is this curve. What you want to do is place the next anchor point where this curve is ending, okay? So like this. But now I'm not going to click my mouse simply. I'm going to click the mouse, the left click on the mouse, and I'm going to hold it. So I'm not going to release the click, okay? So I place the anchor point, but I've not let go of the mouse. And can you see, if I don't let go of it, we get these kind of these handles, right? They will help us kind of make this curve in any way that we want. If we stretch these, okay, I'm again holding down. I'm not left the mouse click, okay? You can stretch this, it's going to kind of change the angle of that curve. If I kind of increase the degree or the length of these handles, they kind of exactly, after some practice, you'll exactly come to know, okay, what should be the length for this. In fact, it's a lot of fun. This part is a lot of fun to get that exact curve. Okay, so let's say in this case, something like, you can say maybe something like this, okay? So what was the trick? We selected the end point of the curve. That's where we placed the anchor point, but we did not simply click. We held our click till the time these bars came out and used the bars to make this particular curve. Now, remember I told you. So this is, trust me, this is not the frustrating part. Remember I told you the two parts why this is frustrating. This is the part which is now going to come, is what causes the most confusion using the pen tool, because this is still easy to understand what we did with the curve, right? But this is the problem now. Now a lot of people think, okay, because now your mind must be thinking, Kush, yeah, this is easy, right? The next anchor point, where do you think we'll put? Right here, right? Because this is like pretty, let's kind of consider, okay, just for this example, let's consider this is completely straight, okay? And now you're thinking, Kush, yeah, I'm definitely going to be placing the next point here, like this. Now what happened? Shouldn't this have been a straight line? What has Photoshop and the pen tool done here? This is what causes the problem. Okay, now what you have to understand is, after you've done this curve thing, remember for this anchor point, we did something with the curve and the handles, okay? Doing that has an effect on the next anchor point also. This is what confuses people, that they think that the next anchor point is free of whatever you did before. That's not the case. Whatever you did before has a relation when it comes to choosing the angle for the next point. Because what Photoshop and the pen tool thinks is, okay, you use this angle for this curve. I'm kind of guessing that when you make your next anchor point, you require a kind of a weird angle again, which is similar to what these bars gave you. This is what causes the confusion. So what is the trick to this? The trick is this, okay? First of all, I know that, yes, this anchor point resulted in something weird. I don't want this. So anytime you want to get rid of the anchor point, there are two ways, okay? I can either right click and click on delete anchor point, okay? Or the shortcut is just the undo button, the shortcut, the control or command Z, okay? So if I press this, it's going to take the latest anchor point out because we were okay up till this point. So don't get confused. These are not anchor points, okay? These are just the handles which select the angle of the curve. These square things are the anchor points which are making the path. So here's the thing. Now what do we do when we have to go to the next point? There are two ways out of this. One is a destructive way, okay, which is very easy to understand. And I know a lot of people who follow this thing that I'm going to show you first, which is if you hold down Alt and Option, okay, so I'm holding down Alt Option, and if I click on this anchor point, it gets rid of that bar, that second bar, which is causing the problem in the next anchor point. So now think of it like this. Now when I add my next anchor point, those bars, because we've kind of removed that bar, we said, listen, bar, you cause a lot of problems, just go away, okay? And now we are starting a fresh selection. Now if I click on this, it's kind of not going to have any effect. It's just helped us draw that straight line. And if I want to continue now let's say I want to do something like, remember this is a curve now, so we'll go to the end of the curve. I'm going to hold down, not letting go of the mouse, and then I'm going to, again, we get those bars because we want the curve. And now we let this. If you want to keep on following this destructive path, because why is this destructive? Because now remember I deleted that handle, right? I can't come back and change this curve later on if I wanted to. You can in a slight way, which I'm going to tell you, but think of it like this, that you removed a lot of control on the curve. So again, if you want to do this destructive way, because this is easier to understand, what will I do here before I go on here? I'll just delete this by holding down Alt Option, and I'm going to delete this and then continue this and pull it out. So this is kind of destructive because you are removing that handle like this, Alt Option and like this. I'm going to undo things. Okay, by the way, before I just undo, you still have some control, okay, over things, because what you can always do is, suppose I felt now, I wanted to change this curve a bit, okay, you can hold down Control or Command, okay, so not Alt Option this time, you can hold down Control or Command, and then you can move this point slightly like this, you can kind of, but can you see we only still have that one bar, its sibling has gone because we deleted the sibling, so we don't have that much kind of control on this. Okay, but you can still move it by holding down Control or Command on the anchor point. You can make some changes. Now, what is the non-destructive way? First of all, if you understood this, you're kind of happy with this approach, a lot of people use it. No problem at all. Okay, but let's say we undo things till the time we come back to, our earlier on. So I'm just undoing everything till the time, let's say we are back to this. We have not deleted things. So let's say we still want to have the ability to have these two bars later on if we want to change the angle. Then what you can do is, remember last time the destructive way was Alt Option and we clicked on the anchor point and it got rid of this handle and it freed us the next selection. Okay, the next anchor point. You can also, what you can do is you can say, listen, I want to keep you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hold down Alt Option, but this time, so I'm holding down Alt Option, I'm going to click on this bar, on this point on the bar, and what I'm going to say to it is, listen, this next anchor point that we're going to place is going to follow the path of the subject. Okay, so what you do is you're way off that path and you're creating weird angles when I'm clicking the anchor point. But since I don't want to get rid of you, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change your angle a bit to the angle where my next anchor point is going to be. So what you can do is just make this shorter, okay, just like this, something like this, and just place it on the angles that you will be following with your next anchor point. So something we want to go upright. So we're just holding down Alt Option and saying, listen, just come here, okay? So this is not the anchor point. We're just doing this so that when we create our next anchor point like this, okay, we don't have any issues. It's not giving us that weird curve. And at the same time, we retain this in case we want to change the curve. Okay, so two ways for you. The destructive way is way more easier to kind of understand. The non-destructive way is like I showed. Now what we can do is, now we did not have any angle problems here. We need to again create a new anchor point here. So this time there won't be any issue because we didn't move any bar or something right here. Just we are considering this was a straight line. So now we can follow the same path. We can go to the end of this curve, hold down, and can you see? Now it's not a problem. But now, again, we're going to face that same issue, okay? So the non-destructive way would be what? We're saying, listen, so that you don't cause any problems, I'm going to make you shorter slightly and just change your angle to the actual angle on the subject like this. So you don't interfere with my next anchor point, which is going to come here, like this. So you can clearly see, right? It's like if you try to learn this on your own, it can be very, very frustrating. Okay, so that's the reason why a lot of people get frustrated with this. It's not that easy to understand. Okay, so again, homework for you. What should we do before we click the next anchor point? So if I click just now, we're going to run into that same problem. It's kind of creating this new one, is thinking that I want a similar angle to before. So Control Z, no. First, let's place this right here. So again, don't get confused by this. This is not an anchor point and this is not a path. This is just the thing that the handle, okay? Our next anchor point now we can place because we've placed it along that same angle like this. Okay? Now let's tackle this bigger curve here. This time I don't have to do anything because that is a straight line. So straight lines are always good because your next anchor point then is completely free, okay? So we don't have to do anything. We just have to notice, yeah, this is where I want to go. Hold down my mouse And oops. Okay. So I'm going to actually just move down. Whoops. Okay, now what happened was, because of that zooming in and zooming out, okay, I've let go of my mouse. Okay, let's say sometimes this can happen, that you accidentally let go of your mouse, okay? But you still find that you want to change the angle a bit with these bars. Now the problem is, if I simply click here, it's actually going to create a new anchor point. So we don't want to do that. So again, even if you want to use these bars to again change the angles a bit, what you have to do is, you have to again hold down Control or Command, then move this, okay? So that Control Command key, think of it like this. It helps you kind of work on the same things without adding another anchor point. Anytime you need to add another anchor point, you simply click your mouse. But if you hold down Control Command, it's like working on the same anchor point again, okay? So you can see now this is looking fine. You can create the new anchor point. Actually, this should have been up, right? I wanted this right here. And I'm still holding down Control Command because I'm working with the same angle, okay? And this is a slightly tougher curve. Let's just see. Sometimes if it's not happening, okay, what you need to do is you can divide the curve into two, okay? That's not a problem at all. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to just undo, or I think this is fine, right? This is fine. And we can simply click now our next anchor point here. We don't even have to change the direction because it's already pointing. This handle is already pointing here, okay? So I can just click on this, right? And might not have been the most accurate thing, but I'm kind of just showing you how to use this tool, okay? Now let's say we want to come, go till from here to here, let's say, okay? So we can click somewhere here, but not let go of the click, and kind of. So it takes a bit of practice, okay? You can see even I'm like just struggling a bit with it because to be frank, I hardly use the pen tool, and there's a good reason for that, which I'm going to be telling you later. Now, can you see this part is slightly coming out, right? So what we can do is we can hold down the anchor Control Command, just move the anchor point slightly like this, just to kind of have this in. Now, again, for the last time, okay? Because after this, I'll just speed up the process and I'll complete the selection to talk more about the pen tool, okay? For the last time. We still have this curve, but this is going way up, right? So we just need to tell it, hold down Alt Option, get here. If you want to do the non-destructive, you can delete it also if you want, okay? So now it's in the same direction. Now I can click the next anchor point and you can see, just going to create this nice curve. Okay, so what I'm going to do is So now I'm just going to complete this whole selection because the next learning, because I'm going to be doing the same things throughout, okay? So once this whole selection is complete, I'll come back to this video. All right, so finally I'm at the end of the selection, and now I just have to close the selection by going on to the first anchor point. Okay, so I've closed the selection. Let's zoom out. And now to turn this into a selection, what you can do is you can simply right click on this and you can click on Make Selection. It's going to give you some options here. How much do you want to feather this? No. So just leave the defaults and click on OK, and this is going to turn this into a selection. Okay, you also get this. Remember, usually we are on the layers panel, but whenever you use the pen tool, you'll also get something called as paths. You can always have the selection with you here. It's always added to as a work path, which you can turn into a selection anytime. Okay, so now that we have the selection, let's say now we want to remove the background, we can just open up a layer mask and that's going to remove it. So this is kind of the basis of how this tool works. Now, first of all, why is it not the most important thing nowadays? Okay, so if I just get rid of this selection, okay, using the marching ants, pressing Ctrl D, Command D, we can, like I've shown you before in this course, right? We always have things like the object selection tool, which, if you just do this, in this case, you're telling Photoshop that this is an area, there's an object here, you just select it on your own. Okay, so if the contrast is nice, it's going to be able to do that job very easily. So why waste so much time, as you can see here, and I can get the same result in 2 seconds. Okay. But where this tool can help you, okay, where the pen tool can help you is if any of these automated tools like your quick selection tool, the select subject tool that we saw before, the object selection tool, if the contrast between, let's say here, instead of this day, like sky, we had something similar, like a night sky, which was kind of conflicting. Not conflicting actually, but going well with the subject. Like the contrast was very less, your eyes could not see the difference. So your eyes can barely notice the outline, but Photoshop is not able to notice, and it's not making good selection, but your eyes can barely see that line, okay? That's where now you can use the pen tool. So if the automated tools don't work, at least you know that yes, because your eye can notice things, you can use the pen tool, but only if the subject has hard and defined edges. Things like this, the pen tool cannot work on something like the hair, okay? So that's why I'm not too bothered about teaching the pen tool in this course, because it's rarely a tool that is used nowadays. We just have much better better things to do, but you never know when you encounter a situation where you find that the automated tools are not working. Then there's no doubt that this is better than any of those other manual tools that we had. And like mentioned before, if you ever want to go back to your selection that you made with the pen tool, you can go to Paths and then right click here on the work path and you can click on Make Selection. And you get your selection back. So this is how the pen tool works. We will get on to the more serious tools, okay, which are used way more from the next video onwards, because we are now going to go back to select and mask from the next video onwards. So I hope this break was good for you. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.